Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. With respect to Nyayalayas Act of 2008, which of the following statements are correct? The Nyayalayas have both civil and criminal jurisdiction. The Act does not make setting up of Nyayalayas mandatory. The district coach may by notification make rules for carrying out the provisions of this Act. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to the Nyayalayas. We have the central government which had enacted the Nyayalayas Act of 2008, according to which the Act does not make setting up of the Nyayalayas mandatory. Now if you look into the options, the Nyayalayas, yes, they have both civil and criminal jurisdiction. They would be able to take up the civil cases. They would also be able to take up the criminal cases. The Act does not make the setting up of Nyayalayas mandatory. So the first and the second statement is right. When you look into the third statement, the district coach may by notification make rules for carrying out the provisions of this Act. This is a wrong statement. Why? That is because it is not the district coach, but instead it is the High Court of a relevant state which would be able to make rules for carrying out the provisions of this Act. So when we speak about the Nyayalayas, these Nyayalayas will have to carry forward this entire proceedings in the official language of the state other than the English language, and the Nyayalayas are not bound by the rules of the evidence under the Indian Evidence Act of 1872, but shall be guided by the principles of natural justice. So remember, the rules are made by the High Court and not the district court, and also remember they can take up both the civil as well as the criminal cases. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to Kalanamak rice. Kalanamak rice has been cultivated since the Buddhist period. Kalanamak is highly resistant to rice diseases such as panicle blast, stem rot and brown spot. Kalanamak rice has been granted the geographical indication tag. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is 1, 2 and 3. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to Kalanamak paddy. Let us try and understand what are some of the important features when it comes to the Kalanamak rice. This happens to be a non-basmati scented rice variety. Where is it grown? It is grown in the Terai region of Uttar Pradesh. Why is it called so? That is because of its black husk. It has high salt content and overshadows basmati due to its agronomic potential. What are the benefits of Kala Namak? It is resistant to notorious rice diseases like panicle blast, stem rot, brown spot that can cause huge losses to the farmers. The bacterial blight is rarely observed. It requires low water content and does not need standing water during the transplantation. It requires low input and labor cost. In fact, the Kalanamak rice has also been conferred the GI tag as well. So remember, when we speak about the Kalanamak rice, it has been cultivated since the Buddhist period and it was accorded the geographical indication tag back in the year 2012 by the Government of India. Kalanamak is also rich in micronutrients like the zinc and iron, and as a result, it prevents all those diseases that are born out of zinc and iron deficiency. It is also said that regular intake of the Kalanamak rice can also prevent Alzheimer's disease as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to Union Public Service Commission. The chairman and members of the commission hold office for a term of 5 years or until they attain the age of 65 years. The chairman of UPSC is eligible for further employment in the Government of India. The UPSC has to be consulted while making reservation of appointments in favor of backward classes of citizens. Which of the statements given above are incorrect? Since it is asking for the incorrect statement, the answer to this is 1, 2 and 3. All the three statements given here are wrong statements. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the Union Public Service Commission. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, the chairman and members of the commission hold office for a term of 6 years and not 5 years. So the first statement is wrong. It is not 5 years but instead 6 years. When you look into the second statement, the chairman of UPSC is eligible for further employment in the government of India. This is a wrong statement. Why? Because he cannot be employed after he is done with his chairman role, and he cannot be appointed in any of the designated roles in the government of India. When we look into the third statement, the UPSC has to be consulted while making reservations of appointments in favor of backward classes of citizens. No, they need not be consulted by the government of India when it is to do with the reservation of appointments for the backward classes of the citizens. So these are some of the important pointers. So the President of India appoints the chairman and the members of the Union Public Service Commission. Generally, the members of the commission are the civil servants with at least 10 years of experience either in central or the state service. Each member holds office for a term of 6 years or until he attains the age of 65 years. And how is that this member can be removed from the Union Public Service Commission? The members can submit their resignation to the President of India anytime, and if any of the member of the commission would be removed from the office by the President of India on the ground of misbehavior, the same will have to be defended in Supreme Court, and whatever Supreme Court says, the same will be binding on the President. If any member is charged with bankruptcy or engaged in any paid employment outside the duties of his office, or if the President opines that the member is unfit to continue because of illness of mind or body, they can also be removed as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. Who was the first ruler who tried to take his message to the people through inscriptions? Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusara, Ashoka, Dasharatha Maurya. The answer to this is Ashoka. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to Samrat Ashok. Let us try and understand some of the important achievements when it comes to Ashoka. When we speak about Ashoka, Ashoka is one of the greatest rulers that India has ever seen. The proud son of India, he was the one who was initially known for his aggressive passion towards conquering large swathes of land. And it was the same person who gave up war who also initiated the very idea of dharma over conquering the places. So basically, he was the son of Mauryan Empire Bindusara and Shubdrangi, and he was the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya. His other names was Devanampriya, Sanskrit Devanampriya meaning the beloved of the gods and Piyadasi, considered one of the India's greatest emperors. At the height of his power, Ashoka Empire stretched from Afghanistan in the west to Bangladesh in the east. It covered almost the whole Indian subcontinent except the present Kerala and Tamil Nadu and the modern day Sri Lanka. Ashoka built many edicts all over India, including in the present day Nepal and Pakistan. His capital was Pataliputra and had provincial capitals at Taxila and Ujjain. Now, if you look into the other parameters, Ashoka was not the eldest son of Bindusara and was not their heir presumptive, and Bindusara wanted his elder son Susima to be crowned the next king. But Ashoka, who was trained in military and weapons, showed great skills as an administrator. That is when he was made the governor of Ujjain. In the war of succession that follows the Bindusara death, Ashoka emerged victorious, aided by his father's ministers. So basically, we have two parts of Ashoka's life. One, where he was called as the moniker Chandashoka, where it means to be cruel Ashoka, where he was more aggressive in nature. He wanted to conquer lands after land. He did not give importance to the human feelings and emotions. All that he wanted was to extend his empire elsewhere. This was the first part of Ashoka. Then the second part of Ashoka is called as Dharmashoka, which means the pious Ashoka, and this happened after the Kalinga War. So the Ashoka's 13th rock edict describes the Kalinga War vividly, and in about 263 BC, Ashoka converted to Buddhism. Moggaliputta Tissa, a Buddhist monk, became his mentor. Ashoka even conducted the third Buddhist council at Patliputra in 250 BC under Moggaliputta Tissa's presidency. These are some of the important facts when it comes to Ashoka. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements in respect of ICC World Test Championship. The finalists were decided by the number of matches they won. New Zealand was ranked ahead of England because it won more matches than England. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is D, which is neither 1 nor 2. Why? That is because when you look into the first statement is incorrect. When we speak about the World Test Championship League standings, it is determined by the percentage of points earned by the teams and not by the number of matches they have won. That's the first statement. When we look into the second statement is also incorrect. That is because New Zealand, in spite of winning less matches than England, proceeded to the finals. Why? Because they had better percentage of points when it comes to the criteria, and as a result both the first and the second statements are wrong, and which is why the answer to this would be neither one nor two. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is Bucharest 9. What is this Bucharest 9? This happens to be a group of 9 NATO countries where in the eastern part of Europe that became part of the US-led alliance called as the NATO after the end of the Cold War. So which are these 9 countries? The 9 countries include Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania and Slovakia. The Bucharest 9 or the Bucharest format, often abbreviated as B9, was founded in 2015 and takes its name from the Bucharest, the capital of Romania. Who initiated this plan? The group was created on the initiative of Klaus Lohanis, who was the president of Romania in 2014, and Andrzej Duda, who became the president of Poland in 2015 at the high-level meeting of the states from the Central and the Eastern Europe in Bucharest. What are the objectives of the Bucharest 9? These are the countries which came together on a common platform. They wanted to have dialogue, they wanted to discuss and deliberate, they wanted to be active participants of the NATO, they wanted to contribute to the well-wishes and the solidarity of NATO. So basically, they wanted to articulate their specific contribution to the entire proceedings in the North Atlantic Alliance, and basically to show the solidarity, the indivisibility of the security of the NATO members, and to have a perspective for each other, towards each other, in line with NATO. They wanted a platform, which is why they created the Bucharest 9. So basically all the members of the Bucharest 9 are also members of the European Union, and they are members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. In fact, Romania, Poland, Hungary and Bulgaria were the former signatories of the now dissolved Warsaw Pact military alliance, which was led by the Soviet Union. And since the year 2014, they have been highly critical about the actions of Russia, where Russia's aggression towards Ukraine in the form of Crimean War and in the form of Donbass issue have all been criticized by these B9 countries. So remember, the Bucharest 9 are the B9 are the Eastern European countries which are now part of NATO. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.